and then literally 2 days before they canceled it.
Ah.
So now I got another email saying June 1st, which is this Tuesday coming up. If they were watching it live, this will have already taken place, hopefully. But this Tuesday coming up is going to be the first auction in 13 or 14 months, allegedly. So we'll see.
That's good, Mike. I'm going to put this live tomorrow on Sunday.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I'll do it before June 1st. I mean, if anybody wants to call you to take advantage of that, they can.
Yeah, well, I'm probably going to wait it out a few months because I obviously want to make sure it's safe, and I need to bring people to. So I do trainings. I take people for 4 days.
Yep.
We spend 2 days in a classroom, 1 day driving around the city of Houston, looking at the properties that are on that list, and then the 4th day we actually go to the auction. But I know a lot of people do not want to get on airplanes just yet. They don't necessarily want to get in seminar rooms and big auctions and stuff. So I'm going to watch and just obviously we want to put safety as number one priority. But probably in the very near future, I will be doing some of my trainings again. And if anybody's interested in attending one of those, I would love to have them there. And they're a lot of fun and they're very educational. And we see homes changing hands at very ridiculously low numbers. Like I said, I've had students get properties, single family homes for like $7,000, and that's not the down payment. That is the actual purchase price. And the great thing about these tax deeds is all the mortgages typically get wiped out. So you're getting a free and clear property for pennies on the dollar. So it's amazing.
That's awesome. So can you explain for everybody that's watching, how do tax deeds work? If you go to that auction, how does that work? Just from a high level perspective.
Yeah, basically, these homes are properties that people haven't paid their taxes in quite a few years. So these people are not like 1 day late with their taxes. They haven't paid in 3 or 4 years. Okay. And so the county eventually needs to put these on the auction block. And just like any auction, obviously there's going to be competition there. You won't be the only one there just getting it for the minimum bid every single time. But I basically teach you the ins and outs of how to outmaneuver your competition, but even more importantly, how to do the due diligence, because not everything that goes up on the auction block is a good deal. And some stuff that looks like a smoking deal will sometimes, upon further observation and doing your homework, not be. So I'll give you an example. I think it was around probably a year and a half. It was a little bit before COVID, maybe 2 years ago now. Somebody in Fort Lauderdale went to one of these tax deed auctions, and they thought they were bidding on this really beautiful villa. And there's these two villas, they're side by side. They thought they were bidding on the one on the right-hand side. Oh, no. And it turns out they got it for $11,000. I think the numbers, I believe, was worth around $200,000. So they thought they got this smoking deal until they found out that there's this little strip of land that separates the left and the right villa from each other. That's maybe 100 feet long and a foot or two wide. And that's what they actually were bidding on. That's what they bought. They bought this little tiny strip of land that you can't do anything with, that you still have to insure in case somebody actually got injured on that little strip of land. And you also have to pay property line. And they can't do anything with it. And so there's a lot of different things. There's a lot of pitfalls. I've seen people way overbid. I've seen people buy properties with liens that did not disappear. So you need to know what you're doing. And so I actually teach people the blueprint. I show you exactly step by step what you need to do to make sure that what you're purchasing is what you think you're purchasing, first of all, and second of all, that it's safe to do so. And then I also teach you how you're gonna have a lot of competitors there. How do you outmaneuver them? And then one of the other things that I do for my students, and I've taught people from as far away as Australia, is I actually give them my boots on the ground. I give them my team. So I actually have somebody that can actually go to the auction for you. So a lot of my students are Canadian because I'm Canadian, but I've taught people from literally all over the planet. So you don't have to fly back there every month. The auction takes place on the first Tuesday of every month. You don't have to fly back there and pay for airfare and hotel and time off away from the family and whatever else you're doing. My team will actually go to the auction on your behalf every month. They'll go and do a lot of the legwork for you. And so everything you need to do can be done from the computer safely from the comfort of your own home. And so, but that's basically how it works. And it's a lot of fun. It's very profitable. And like I said, we have a backlog of thousands of properties that are coming down the pipeline here. It's going to be insane.
I love it. Well, that's something I definitely want to take advantage, when you go next, let me know. I want to go with you.
Oh, I definitely will. I'm hoping to do it over the summer. Of course, a lot of things have to still happen. And, but, I'm hoping.
I'd love to go with you, and that'd be fun because I'd be interested in picking something up and doing that. That'd be a fun little We could video it. We could do a whole series on it. So can I ask you a question on this though? So like with the tax deeds, is it because of the fact that typically most people with mortgages have taxes built into their mortgage, right? So that property, essentially, if you have it mortgaged and you have the taxes escrowed in the mortgage payment, typically it's going to be bank owned before it goes into a tax deed situation.
No, because if it was bank owned, it wouldn't make it to a tax deed situation, because then the bank would take the foreclosure over.
Right.
As a matter of fact, the county, when they decide they're going to foreclose, they have to inform everybody who's on title, including the banks. And the banks would have first right of refusal. They could actually bail it out and take it. But consider this, let's go back to that wholesaling example. Imagine this lady who just inherited this property now also gets this tax bill. She doesn't have the money. She's never seen this property. It's like, what? I inherited this property and I got to pay. I just got it and I got to pay taxes, or it's going up to auction. I'm not going to bail that out. So there's a whole lot of different scenarios of why these homes will go for auction. And a lot of times I've seen some that were clear title, that it was literally just a few thousand behind, but somebody inherited it, or sometimes it's a clerical error. Like, do you know who Wayne Huizenga was? So he was a billionaire. He owned, he started the waste management company, Blockbuster Video. He has a record for the most, what are they called? Inc. 500, top 500 companies.
Sure.
He has a record for starting the most companies. Anyway, he's a very, very wealthy man.
Yeah, he's super wealthy.
Yeah, so if you ever go to Fort Lauderdale and you take that water taxi and it goes past all these beautiful homes along the waterway.
Did he buy the Miami Marlins?
Yeah, that's right. He owned the Marlins. He owned several sports teams. Yeah. And so he owned a lot of homes along that waterway. And so he was based out of Fort Lauderdale. And when he switched offices, he had his assistant send out mail to the county saying, hey, we're switching our address. And he had so many properties, and she did it on all of them except for one. She forgot to do it on one of the properties, and it was this piece of land worth somewhere around $1 million allegedly. So anyway, the county did what they were supposed to do, and it was tax time, and they sent out a tax bill to the address on file, which for all the properties was his new office. And then one of his tax bills went to his old office because that was not changed. They did what they were supposed to do. And sure enough, he never got the bill, never paid the property tax on it. And some very, very, very lucky investor got this piece of land worth $1 million for $60,000 at an auction. And Wayne Huizenga played the, hey, don't you know who I am card? And you should have known. And anyway, he lost that battle. And this investor got to keep that property where they made over $900,000 on this
oh man,
land because of a clerical error. So there are 1,000,001 reasons why a property will go to auction. Sometimes it's because they're not paying the mortgage too. That's sometimes the case, but there's so many different scenarios and so many different reasons why a property will go to auction. But one of the reasons why Texas has kind of a disproportionate number of these is, as I mentioned earlier, a lot of Californians are leaving California going to Texas because there's no state income tax. Well, where do you think they get the money from that they don't get from the state income tax? The property tax. And so the property taxes they tend to be around 2.6 to 3%, depending on the county. They're very, very high. And so you get 3 years behind, and you can get pretty far behind pretty quick when the taxes are that high. And so people get into trouble, and they just unfortunately have to walk away from their home. And sometimes they're behind on the mortgage and a whole bunch of other things too. But in any case, there's a lot of different scenarios.
Yeah.
But we see a lot of inventory come up in the Texas tax deed.
Because you want to be careful if you're doing a tax deed. You got to make sure that the house is free and clear. Because I mean, if there's a mortgage on it, don't you get stuck with that at the same time? Or if you
mortgage typically gets and this is why I teach all the due diligence, because the mortgage typically gets wiped out. And so what happens? The county's lawyers, they send a message to they send a letter to Bank of America saying, hey, your mortgage. This home's going up on the auction block. If you have the first right to pay off these property taxes to protect your mortgage. And if you don't, your mortgage is wiped out, because guess who comes above the banks? The government. And so it will actually get wiped out, but there's instances where that does not happen. And if you don't know what those instances are, yes, you will get a call from Bank of America saying, hey, we have a $300,000 mortgage. How do you plan on paying for that? So, and that's why you need to know what you're doing. Do not go to an auction like that without think you're just going to win.
Correct. Yeah.
And I see people make that mistake all the time. They go, oh, well, I got the property for $10,000. So that's the worst thing that's going to happen. Well, the worst thing that happens, it's not your $10,000 you have to worry about. It's that with ownership comes liability. So let me give you an example. Let's say let's say you got and I see, by the way, I see empty lots going for, sometimes $200, $300, $400, $500. So imagine you got an empty lot for $200 and you thought, well, what's the worst thing that's going to happen? I'll lose $200. Well, once again, with ownership comes liability. Imagine that lot used to have a gas station on it and the land's contaminated. And now to bring that back up to code, it's $50,000. So now it's not the $200 you have to worry about. It's the $50,000 that you now have to come up with, because that's now in your name. So there's a lot of things you need to know. And if you just think, oh, I'm going to wing it, you will lose your shirt. But if you do know what you're doing, there's a lot of great opportunity.
Well, like that story actually makes me think. So my father-in-law back in Vermont, had a multi-unit apartment building. There was 7 units in one building. It's just kind of old school Vermont building, and bought it back in 2007 and literally just sold it in 2020 and did really well with it. Obviously the COVID frenzy, he did well with it. And, but here's the problem. When they were selling it, the inspector actually found a buried gas tank that was not disclosed in the title when he bought it. But because it had been so long, it was on his responsibility. It cost him $14,000 to remove and decontaminate this thing before they could sell it.
Wow. Well, he's lucky though, because I can't even imagine how much appreciation he's got. The $14,000 is probably a drop in the bucket.
Oh yeah, but still, it's crazy, right?
Yeah, be a lot different though if you just picked it up at the auction and you thought you had this big profit margin, and now 14 grand got eaten up.
That's true.
But yeah,
that kind of stuff happens though. I mean,
absolutely, does all the time. All the time. And
it's nuts.
But a lot of people, they think, oh, well, if I'm only putting in this much, they think that's all they have to lose, but there's a lot more. And so you have to be really, really, really careful. And whatever you bought that you just inherited, if there was a problem, that's now your problem, not the last person's problem.
That's awesome. Well, man, this has been awesome. A lot of fun. And I think because we talked so long, I think what I'm going to do is break this up into like 3 or 4 videos, because we kind of like segmented from conversation to conversation.
Yeah,
and I think
a lot of topics for sure.
We did. That's awesome. So, yeah, man. Well, it was great talking to you guys. If anybody has any questions about anything, you can leave comments in the comment section below. I engage with every comment possible. If you want access to Mike's book, I have that in the description below. I'll include the link down there. So just click on that. You can go over and check it out. Mike, I still have your webinar for Atlanta that we had from a couple years ago. Is that still good, or do you have a new one?
It is absolutely still current, and Atlanta is going crazy right now, and will continue to go crazy. So absolutely, that is still current.
So I'll include the link if you are interested in learning about cash flow properties in Atlanta. I will include that below as well. And as always, my link below, if you ever want to have a conversation about any of this stuff, you can click on that link, set up a call with me. I can connect you with Mike, to do the whole real estate thing on any capacity, whether you're interested in tax deeds or cash flow investing, anything, all the above. We can make it happen. So Mike, it's been awesome having you. Enjoy Mexico. You've been down there for like ever, it feels like.
Yeah, I've been here, I think, for 8 months, give or take. And I am not missing Canada, which is all locked down here. Everything's back open again, and the sun shines every day. So kind of like Phoenix.
Yeah, no, exactly. And we're going to be going to Costa Rica next week. So it's going to be awesome. So anyway, man, awesome having you. And we got to do this again. Let's not make it so long in between.
I know. Well, thanks for having me. And I'm always available. Anytime you need me, I'm happy to come speak for you.
All right, brother. Have a good one. All right, guys, have a blessed, inspirational day. We'll talk to you soon. See ya.